Hey. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Unapologetically Badass. I am very excited to have this dynamic mama on our show today. Kendall, we are thrilled to have you on. We were just pre-gaming and saying how much we have stalked your social media, followed you, love your
listening.
Like, the true, authentic, that's what vibes with us. And you are obviously so true, so authentic in your power, in your space, sharing with everyone. And that is truly badass. So thank you. Welcome to the show.
I love your rawness, your rawness and you can feel it from your soul of just like how you breathe into others, and you want that message to truly breathe into others. So like, Kendall, we really want you to just allow people to hear and feel that right now. So, you can start wherever you want. Just tell us about you and tell us how you got to where you are now.
Well, thank you for such an amazing introduction, number one. And I'm super excited and humbled also for you guys to reach out to me and bring me on your show. I love the title. And of course, you already checked me out, so you already know what I'm about, and I think it aligns perfectly with the Badass Podcast. So I love that. As you stated, I am the host of Mom's True Tea Podcast. I'm the CEO of Mom's True Tea Nonprofit Foundation and also the author of Reclaiming Your Identity. My platform is about speaking unfiltered and unapologetic truth about motherhood, the truth that most people, especially moms, are way too afraid to actually say out loud. Yeah. And I created this space for moms who have been suffering in silence, the ones that feel unseen, unappreciated, and unheard. I want moms to reclaim their identity and recognize their value beyond just motherhood, right?
Yeah.
I created this podcast in my iPhone notes over 9 years ago because I didn't think moms were ready to have these real conversations about the not so warm and fuzzy side of motherhood, because we don't want to be judged, right? We feel alone during our journey. At least I felt very alone during my journey when I was going through some very traumatic experiences raising my now two adult sons. They're 29 and 34. And although I've been extremely forthcoming all my life and very honest, it still felt lonely because I knew other women were judging me when I was sharing my experiences. So I wanted to create a judgment-free platform. Of course, you're on social media, so it's not really judgment-free because you have to deal with all the trolls.
Yep.
And the adult children that come in our shit because they're all irritated because moms are finally speaking out, being empowered and liberated from the emotional chains of feeling that guilt. So I want moms to be free. I want moms to be free from being held hostage by this grip of abusive relationships with their kids or mourning estranged adult children. And again, remind them your worth is not wrapped up into solely being a mom. So Mom's True Tea is really about truth, healing, freedom, and moms being empowered.
I love that.
Oh my gosh, sorry, Renee. I'm just so empowered because we talk about that all the time, that we don't love ourselves enough, Kendall. Yeah. And that whenever our kids do grow up, there is that empty space that they don't know how to feel because they don't have anything for themselves.
You wrapped your entire identity in your life up into being a mom. You lose Renee, you lose Sierra, you lose Kendall. So us now coming into our 50s, I'm 52. So Renee, I'm not that far behind you. We are just sadly discovering who we are. Like I said, I've always been one to walk in my authentic truth. Those who know me, they know that about me. There are no secrets to Kendall. I'm very open. I've always been an open book because nobody can tell my story better than me. So, I just want moms to be free, not free from building a relationship from your child, but free from just not knowing who you are anymore and wrapping your entire identity and all of your value up into what your child thinks about you. That's why so many moms are so distraught and destroyed when their children are going no contact with them.
Yeah. Well, you know what really resonated with me as well, and I loved the authenticity in sharing, because so many times, I mean, we as moms, we go through shit as being mothers, right? So some things are highly, traumatizing, and some are not, but it's a lot of shit. And we don't share the shit. We share like, oh, Susie got an award, and oh, isn't she great?
Kids.
Yeah. Right. And so we don't want to be judged. And we also want, like you said, Sierra, we want to protect our kids.
Yes.
And there was a time where I was very disgraced because I'm estranged from my daughter.
By your choice or by hers?
Her choice.
Okay.
Her choice. And it came out of, like, I can't say it came out of nowhere, but it kind of came out of like, there was no like big thing. There was no like discussion. It was like, poof, I'm gone.
Yeah, because they're ghosting you like they ghost their friends.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. And for the longest time, obviously as a mom, and I know we will dive into your experience and I want to hear your journey, but I was very embarrassed. I would only talk to a few close people. And then when I finally had the guts to share my story online, I wasn't intending on, spewing like what happened, because that's private, but I did share that this is the season of my life right now.
Yeah.
It was so crazy to me how many moms reached out to me in my friends circle that is going through the same thing, and I'm like, nobody talks about it. So they were
like, why did you bitches tell me about this and let me know that I wasn't the only one going through something? Right. My older son came out as gay as a teenager, and I didn't know what to do with that. I had no support. And then I talked to a person that I was girlfriends with, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Renee, but you raised a good point. And I was distraught, not distraught because my son was gay, distraught with, how do I protect him? How do I process this? Did something happen? Yep. Like what I didn't understand. I blamed myself.
Right.
And I remember pouring my heart out to this person that I thought was a girlfriend. And she was like, oh girl, it's gonna be all right. Very nonchalant. Only like 10 years later, she's like, oh yeah, I went to go see my son and his partner. And I'm like, what you mean partner? And she was like, well, he's gay. He's been gay. And I'm like, why the hell didn't you say that when I was pouring my heart out to you? Because you could have been that space for me.
Right. That she could have just told you it's going to be okay.
Girl, it's gonna be okay. My son's gay too. It's whatever. And I think about that constantly, that I did not have that support. And I said that to say what you were saying, Renee. You had to open up for your friends in your circle to start having this conversation with you. And you're like, oh, well, damn, all of y'all was going through this shit already, but we didn't have collectively have a conversation to be support for one another. And that's because silence loves shame.
Right. Yes, absolutely.
Silence loves shame. So when we stay in this silence and we don't talk about it because we're so afraid that our image is going to look tarnished, but more so, we're afraid that people are going to blame us. And as we can see, that's exactly what society does.
That's what they do. And we're good at blaming ourselves for everything.
We're just beating ourselves up. They don't talk to me because I wasn't good enough. They don't talk to me because I'm not this enough. I'm not that enough. And I think as we transition from moms of little kids and teenagers to adult kids, it happens more and more because they're living their life.
Absolutely.
And we just like want to be in it as if they were little kids, but it just doesn't happen that way. And then you start blaming yourself. They don't like me enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not cool enough. I'm not this enough. And you're chasing them. And it becomes like this anxiety that you have, and it's just not fair, not right. And society tells us that everything should be perfect in a little bubble. Yeah. But they don't tell us that one day our child is just going to ignore us, or that one of our children are going to come out of the closet and tell us something sacred in their life, or that something damaging could be happening to them with depression. And then we're just sitting here just like, that's my fault.
It's so hard because like you said, we blame ourselves for every single thing. And then also, I tell women who get married, when you're married to and you have a good partner, not even married, you could be dating. It just could be your partner. It doesn't have to be your husband or your wife. That's you are your first priority. That's number one. Then your partner or your husband. That's your second priority. These fucking balloons. If you want a Mac and if you do a hand gesture, I don't know how to turn the shit off. But well, it does need to be celebrated, right? But we totally get so wrapped up into them that they're gonna grow up.
Yeah.
Your kids are gonna grow up, and then when they grow up, they're gonna live their own lives.
Yes.
And because you wrapped everything up around them, now you don't know what to do with yourself. That's why mothers are having a hard times when their sons get married and the daughter-in-law is now the blame. And some of them are. We know they can be manipulative witches and they can try to control things. Independent.
You gotta be quiet.
Exactly.
And you know what I'm talking about, Kendall, because you're a mom of boys. Like, it doesn't matter who the partner is. You gotta be quiet.
Girl, I am quiet because Kendall minds her business.
Me too.
Okay.
Oh my God.
I mind my business so tough. Yeah. Like, I don't even want to be bothered. I don't want to hear what you and her have going on. Leave me out of it, because me and my husband are on a flight to London. Like, just leave me alone. Like, I live my life for me now. And I
did. Yep. Hallelujah. Exactly. Okay.
Yep. That's crazy.
So how did you do it? Yeah,
go ahead.
Let's go back, because like we go here, but let's go back. Like, how was your journey? And you decided to, or you had this concept of this space that you wanted to talk to and with other moms. But what was your journey like? Like, what made you say, you know, I want this space because I'm going through, and we know about your adult son, but what other things, you know, have you gone through in your life that made you the strength and the strong woman that you are today?
Oh God. Let's start with me witnessing domestic violence since I was 5 years old. I still remember the day that I saw my father hit my mom, and she was taking me to school and headed to work. Like, that has stuck with me. Mm-hmm. And then that kind of led up through the years, that domestic, that's being in that space of witnessing domestic abuse with my mom. And don't get me wrong, my mom didn't take any ass whooping. She was a tough lady. They fought. So if he put her hands on her, they were going to fight. She wasn't just going to take no ass whooping laying down. And that was a long period of time. My mother divorced my father, and then she married him again because he said he had changed. And not only that, her intention was to have my biological father be in my life. And I get that, because now that my mother and I are much closer, I know that my mother didn't really know who her biological father was. Mm-hmm. So I get why she was trying to keep that fun family dynamic, no matter how toxic it was. And my dad would be good for a couple of years, and then it would go back. And then he got addicted to drugs, because a lot of that was introduced into the Black community to destroy families. So my father was impacted by that, and therefore it impacted our relationship and my family dynamic. So I dealt with that. I was the only child and bullied through school. You know what I'm saying? Like, for quite some time. Not that, because again, I fought. So, you bully me, we're going to fight. That's why I don't take that shit on social media. I don't play that bullying shit on social media. If you come to my page with the shit, do be prepared. And then, leading up into that, then I married a man who was very similar to my dad. And was in an abusive, toxic relationship with him, verbally abusive, sometimes physically abusive. He pulled a gun on me and all of these different things. And just really surviving. I was a teenage mom. I had my older son when I was 17 years old. My life had to shift. So I was going to college. I had gotten recruited to go to college, and all of that had to change, because now I'm a mother, and there was no one that was like, oh, let me raise your child while you go to college. It was, this is your baby. He's your responsibility. And of course, I took that seriously. Meanwhile, his dad, he got to go off college, play football, all the things. He got to live his life, and I had to shift my life. And then, like I said, I was in this marriage with this person that showed up as his best representative initially, because they like to blame us for picking the wrong partner as well. Some of our children do. And then, yeah, how is my trauma your fault?
Yeah.
But nonetheless, so again, that was a toxic, abusive relationship. I finally got the complete balls to divorce him and be done. No more chances, no more going back. And then my younger son became my abuser. So my estrangement is on my side. I stopped talking to my younger son 2 years ago because he has been verbally abusive. Sometimes we have gotten to physical type of things. He has been this toxic person since the day his father and I divorced. And I have been dealing with it for 20 years. And I decided in 2023, after a huge thing that could have gone completely the wrong way, that I was no longer going to stay on that roller coaster. I was getting off of it. And this time it wasn't, because he likes to let things die down and cool off a little bit, and then he'll come right back around. But I made a conscious decision in 2023. And plus I had been diagnosed with cervical cancer in 2022. So I had gone through chemo, radiation daily, surgeries, all these things happened in 2022 and 2023. And that made me even more resilient and not take any shit, not even from my own child.
Yeah.
So those are just the clip notes of things that have made me as tough and as strong as I am. And not only that, I speak for my ancestors that were silenced.
Yeah.
I take that very seriously. I take that seriously, that my ancestors, my grandmothers, the ones that preceded me that could not speak up.
Right.
And that were silenced. And then cervical cancer is in your womb. And we carry so much in our womb that we don't even realize when that sacred space has been violated in any way. That's what causes a lot of the cancers in your cervix or endometriosis. So those are the things. And I take my platform very, very seriously. I don't sugarcoat anything. If moms are wrong, who call you on your shit?
Yep.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And we all are wrong sometimes. We all make mistakes. And as moms, and some of the best moms are the ones that apologize.
Absolutely.
Like, I did this. Like, I'm gonna admit when I fucked up. It's me. But you need to own your shit too.
Absolutely.
And that is something that you hope you're a good enough mom that they will own their shit when they mess up on their end. Right.
See,
and then it doesn't always work that way.
No.
Sierra, that's the problem. They want us to be held accountable for everything.
Everything.
I'm sure you guys hear that in your comments. When are parents going to be accountable? When are parents going to be accountable? So they lost their shit when I said, if I'm going to be accountable, then you need to also be accountable. Because let's talk about the hell that you caused me growing up and the stress that you caused me growing up. And now here it is. You're saying that you've been traumatized because I told you to clean up your room, or I said something that you didn't want to hear, or how you wanted to hear it. You want me to sugarcoat it and say it, well, honey, but you've been giving me shit the whole damn week. Like that, it doesn't balance out. And they get really, really triggered when I call them on that and say, okay, if we're going to be accountable and it can't just be your parent. It has to be you as well, because what these adult children, they want the world to change around them, but they're not willing to make the changes themselves.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And you hope that it comes with age and maturity, that they come back around. And unfortunately, this is how families fall apart, because it doesn't always come back around. It's still the victim mentality that just sticks with them. But, platforms like this, where we can have a voice, platforms like yours, your podcast, your, messaging, is where hopefully people will listen and say, maybe I need to make some changes. And, that's all that we can hope for a better world, right?
It takes a lot of bravery for you to stand up to the fact and make the decision to go no contact because of what was taking place, and to really go, this is not healthy for either one of us, and we need time to heal. And, hopefully, prayfully that, things change in the future. I know.
Yeah. It's not an easy choice.
Did you actually give that kind of messaging? Because, I don't know the ghosting mentality. Did you ghost and just ignore, or did you actually give that message to your child of this is not a healthy space?
It was very clear. I probably didn't say it as nice as that, Sierra, but it was definitely clear that I was not fucking with him no more. And I made that very, very clear. Like I said, with the last incident that took place, he was threatening me. He was threatening my home, all over a misunderstanding that could have been discussed, right? Yeah. But he took it there because his girlfriend, and the millennials and the Gen Zs, you can't correct them. You can't say
no.
God forbid I tell you, when you walk in my home, you may have spoken to my husband who was at the door, but I live in a 3,000 plus square foot home. You have to walk down this long ass foyer, and I'm sitting in another place at the house. So then you should greet me again. And she didn't do that, to the point where I know she didn't, because my son was like, why don't you come over here? Because she was sitting in the kitchen. She didn't want to come out in the area where we were kind of sitting and lounging and talking. And she was like, I don't want to take my shoes off because we have carpet in that area and we don't let people walk in the house with shoes. And I let it go that day because I really wanted to stay in peace and I just didn't want to deal with it. But the next day I woke up and I texted her, and I wasn't nasty. I said, hey, when you walk into someone's home, you may want to make sure that you greet them. Otherwise, it comes across as you being rude. And I know that's not what you want to be interpreted. She thumbs it up. She didn't say, oh, I'm sorry. Or, I did speak. Maybe you didn't hear me. And it could have been squashed. But I guess she got upset and she went and bitched to my son and him in true fashion. Instead of him calling me and saying, well, Mom, she said she spoke. Then I would have said, oh, well, son, I didn't hear her. That's why I said something. He called me an evil whore. You bitch. Don't you ever talk to my girlfriend that way. If she breaks up with me, I'm going to do something to your husband. Like, he went off on this whole tangent. And that's what people don't realize, because I'm not about to sit on social media and go back and forth and try to explain myself to you. I don't need to explain whether I am to anyone. And then, like you said, sometimes we're trying to still protect our children. But what I realized is he's never protected me. He's never seen my side. He's never seen me. Even when I've tried to share very intimate things with him, he's never seen me. Yeah. So why should I continue to?
He sees you as what he
whatever
said.
He needs.
He
sees me as what I said,
or you're a this and you're that. He doesn't see you as something precious, something that should be. You gave him life. Yeah. And even if you don't like me, you should respect me.
Absolutely. And my oldest son is totally different. He's on the totally opposite side of the spectrum. They're both highly intelligent, both very talented. Even my younger son, but my older son, he was just on a Tyler Perry show. He sings all over the world. He's always held me with that honor and that regard, and I will always thank him for that. But even in my imperfections, growing up as a mom, we grew up together.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, of course, everything that I did wasn't perfect. Of course, I was overstimulated. Of course, I was in survival mode all the time and not, having the support or the help from his dad. I didn't say everything nice all the time, but I've also not been the mom that would attack them or just say ugly, nasty things. Yes. Was I sharp? Absolutely. Was I very to the point? Absolutely. And also, I was raising boys. I can't teach them how to be men. And then if I coddle you too much, then you become a pussy. Like, I'm not doing that.
Right. You know what? It resonates so much with me. And that's why I was like, I need to get you on the show. Because I'm in a similar situation. Like, my oldest daughter and she is my bestie. She has seen me at my worst. She understands me as a woman besides a mother. And we've gone through this. And have I always been Hell no. I screwed up. She's heard me apologize. I didn't handle divorce and going through divorce the best as, any other mom could have. Could I have done things differently? Absolutely. Could I have said less things? Absolutely. But I'm real and I don't sugarcoat things. I was never, terrible to my kids. I always did things great for my kids, but I definitely spoke about their father. Like when you push this Italian Portuguese to the wall, like there's some point where she's gonna explode on you. So, but she saw me through that, and she loves me because of it, like because I'm authentic and because I'm real. And I always wanted them to have, great relationships with their father. And I would say that and share that with them. But it just amazes me that, I treated both the same. And granted, they're not the same kids. They're both, they're both wonderful girls, and they're daughters. They're both wonderful daughters. They're wonderful kids. They're wonderful adults. Like, I know that they're super smart and everything, but it's just amazing me that my youngest sees me as such a villain in the story, where I was sharing my truth and what I was going through. And like, if something happened, like you're going to know about this because of the fact that, and I was sharing from a place trying to be authentic, wanting them to see that not everything is going to be perfect in your life. There's going to be fucking a lot of shit that goes on.
Yeah.
Right? But know that you have the strength that you're going to get through it.
Yeah.
You're going to be fine,
you
right?
do the best you can as a mother. You do the best you can. All the time. It's the only best version that you know. Yeah. And sometimes the ungratefulness that comes across. And there are different perspectives, but it comes across as such an ungratefulness, and you don't know how to adjust or handle. I have 5 boys, Kendall, all grown 5 boys, and they are all so completely different. And 3 I birthed, and then I have 2 bonus babies.
Okay.
And like Renee said, they all heard and seen and went through things on their own, but each one has a version. Each one sees me like how you shared that your son sees you in a way that the other one, you're like, how does this son see me like this, and this son doesn't see me like this? They all do it. And I remember my dad.
Yeah. We do have to parent differently, right? Like, we have to have split personalities as a you can't just be Sierra with all 5. You probably got to be your alter ego with at least 1 or 2 of them. Like, I can't just be Kendall, who's very calm, who's professional. She's still going to tell you what she has to say if you ask her, but the tone is going to be different. But I could be Kendall with my older son. With my younger one, I had to be Lasha, because that's the only person he would respond to. He didn't respond to Kendall. He didn't respect Kendall. He didn't appreciate Kendall. He likes Lasha because that's who he is. He wants to be this person, that you were raised on a cul-de-sac in a 3,000 square foot home in the suburbs, but he wants to be this person that didn't grow up in that side. So I have to meet him where he is. And they don't realize how exhausting and overstimulating that is as well, that you can't be the same consistent parent with every single one of them.
Right. Yeah. No, it's incredibly sad to see. And I don't want to broad stroke the younger generation. However, in broad stroking the younger generation, how many are so disrespectful.
Oh, girl.
To adults, to their parents, to their grandparents. Like, there's just a level of, like, they have this fuck you attitude.
Oh, very much
adults. And it's like, I didn't raise you like that. Like, we went to, like, there's all things that I tried to do as a mom to instill the values that was instilled on me. I don't get along perfectly with my mother, but I would never disrespect her. I don't go no contact with her. She did the best she could in the circumstances that she had. I understand that, but
I went no contact with my mom.
I did for like 2 years, but it was warranted. And again, some of these cases are warranted.
Yes.
I never negate that. I never negate that there are some toxic, horrible, abusive moms. Although it's unnerving to me that the focus is always so much on moms and very little on dads. That really unnerves me.
Yeah.
But
because dads, especially to boys, Kendall, right? Like, their dads are like these. I mean, they look up to them. Like, no matter what they do, they're just like, "Oh, my dad," and I'm like, "What about your mom?"
Yeah. So it's very unnerving that so much of this vitriol that I see is towards moms and rarely on dads. So sometimes I have to tell them, Okay, tell me what your abuse looked like, because that's the first excuse, right? Like, I was abused. How dare you speak generally and tell me this? Like, don't weaponize therapy, because they lost their minds when I posted that.
Mm.
You do.
Mm-hmm.
You do. A lot of you are going to therapy and you're weaponizing it. You're not going for conflict resolution. You're not going for any solution. You're not going to build bridges. You're going to get an excuse for building a wall. You're not trying to resolve any conflict. And then you use I'm setting boundaries as the reason as to why, when it's not. Because again, you want the world to change around you, but you're refusing to make the necessary changes so we can all make those changes. And that's the problem that I have. So what they do is they come out from therapy, and I'm sure you ladies have heard the word narcissist. They wear that shit out. Throw it in the trash. Roll it up and throw it in the trash. You're toxic, you're narcissist, you're gaslighting, I'm setting boundaries, all of these things. And that's why I tell moms, okay, since you're setting boundaries, set your own boundaries. Set your own boundaries. Stop being available when they make a decision that, oh, now I don't want to set boundaries because I need you. I need something from you. Because a lot of these relationships with our children are also they have become transactional. Mm-hmm. What can you do for me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And when they don't have a use for you.
And when they don't have the use, or they've gotten what they wanted, they ball you up and throw you back in the trash all over again. And that's the roller coaster that I want moms to get off of. And that's because they don't see their own value. So they overcompensate by falling for the transactional relationships just to have that access.
Right. For sure.
That's the part that they need to be liberated from.
Yep. And I see that there's such an issue. Sorry, I see there's such an issue with therapy, and I don't want to blame therapists, but there's so much of this acceptance and go, yes, you need your boundaries. Let's kumbaya and
bragging about it.
They're only seeing one fucking side. They're seeing it from that disturbed person who's saying all these horrible things. They're not understanding what's true. So the therapist is validating them, and they're just continuing this like, yes, okay, I am right. She was the evil one. She's a terrible person. Thank you, therapist, for validating
my narrative.
Because my mom didn't validate my feelings. So thank you for you to do that.
Say it again, Kendall, about the weaponizing, because I think that exactly what Renee is saying is what I want our audience to hear again, because it's a very, very fine line, especially when you get your teenagers into therapy. You have to be very, very careful, because now the therapist says, mom or dad, you can't know what we're talking about unless you want to access, but that's violating there. And we're really trying to have this. But are they accessing the piece of, do you understand why your parents have you here? And what do your parents want to get out of it? Not how your parents feel, because that wouldn't be real therapy. But then they're just like blaming, and they're victim. So say it again about the weaponizing, please.
So I think there are good therapists and there are bad therapists, right? I think a good therapist, they don't triangulate. They don't have bias. They're not going to let your kid or your adult just come in and dump everything on you. It's your fault. It's your fault, Renee. It's your fault, Kendall. It's your fault, Sierra. I feel like good therapists will call you on your shit. They're not going to let you just be the victim, because at some point you've been the villain in the story. However, you tried to make your parents the villain in everything that's going on. So when I say weaponized therapy, is that when you do go to the bad therapist that say, yes, you should be setting boundaries. Yes, your parent has narcissistic characteristics. And yes, they're a narcissist. When a therapist is not clinically educated to diagnose, you have to go to a psychologist or, to be diagnosed. And then how can you diagnose me just based on what somebody is telling you without you seeing me? So when they come out of therapy now, it's not, I'm setting boundaries. You can't talk to me like that, or the way that you spoke to me caused me trauma, or you're a bad person now because my therapist said that. I had a mom say her daughter started going to therapy. She was like, I don't even know who she is anymore. And this is not the first mom that's talked to me and said this. I don't even know her anymore. I don't know this person who's gone to therapy and now is coming out telling me that I've been controlling all of her life and didn't let her have a voice. I don't know this person who's now telling me, oh, Mom, your heart is not right. You don't have a good heart. And I'm just like, wait a minute. I know you personally. I know how you will.
I'm half of you. I'm half of you.
Like,
if I don't have a good heart, you don't have one either.
Exactly. Or, they go to therapy and like I said, narcissist, or you're a gaslighter. You say things and you don't take responsibility. So when I say weaponized therapy, I'm saying you're not coming out with the tools that you need to heal.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
You're coming out with ammunition so you can battle with someone else. And not only that, so that's where the weaponization comes from, in my opinion, because I've gone to therapy. I don't throw it in my mom's face. I take the tools that I need in order to do what I need for my own healing. And that's why I said before in a clip that a lot of them go to therapy just to be heard. They don't want to be healed, and they lost their damn minds.
Yeah.
They lost their minds because you just want to rattle off and tell everything and make everybody the problem. And then a bad therapist who oftentimes they have issues with their families. They have issues with their own moms. They haven't healed, and now they're trying to therapize. That's what I say. That's my word. They're trying to therapize somebody else. And then now you come out and you're trying to therapize me. No, you get your therapy. You do what you need to do to heal. You get the tools that you need to heal, and don't focus on what I'm doing. You focus on what you're doing. A lot of them, their healing is so contingent upon us being accountable. Their healing is so contingent upon us saying what they want to hear. And a lot of times it's not about accountability. They want you to take the blame.
Yep.
Yeah. They want you just to say, oh, I'm sorry. But what about that two-way conversation of let's talk about, what you mean by that and give me an example. Okay.
Well, and that's the sad part. There's in a lot of cases, and in my case, there is no conversation. Mm-hmm. So it would be so different if there was a conversation to have that understanding to then go, okay, let's talk about that. And what part of it did I contribute to? Like, you want to get to the meaning of it, to like what transpired.
A healed person wants to get to the meaning. You're a healed person and you're mature enough to handle, okay, I'll take ownership, but I need to know how and why. And then are you willing to take ownership? That's a healed person. That's two healed people coming together and then together. Mm-hmm. And that is the piece that is missing in this big, huge puzzle, Kendall, like you're saying. Is like you have this beautiful picture and there's just a hole in the middle
because they'll come to you and they'll say what you did wrong if they say. So this is my thing. If you go to someone and you ask them after they've said something about you or accused you of something and you say, well, tell me, explain to me. Like I was told that I lacked empathy by somebody that I have. Oh, wow. Like I've jumped in my car and driven 5 hours to make sure she was okay. After I've gotten off a flight from coming back from London from work. And I'm like, she didn't sound okay when I talked to her. And literally my husband's at the airport and I'm like, let's drive 5 hours to make sure she's okay. Mm-hmm. And other things. I won't go down the list. And this person, after therapy, she started therapy and she decided she's going to call me on some of my shit. And I'm like, okay. And she said, well, you also lack empathy. And I said, really? Okay. How? Explain to me, because I'm grown. I'm an adult, and I'm more than willing to be like, you know what? I probably could have said that differently, or this is not what I meant by this. And I said, well, explain to me how I lack empathy, which she brought it up. And then she said, oh, I'm not getting into that right now. But bitch, you brought it up.
Yes.
Exactly. That door just closes because you're not ready to really have a mature conversation because you're not healed. You're pretending like you are.
The conflict resolution, and then let's just put it out here, the lies.
Yep.
Yeah. Because they're creating these false narratives that they want to live in. So when you do call them on something that they've said to you, and there's no answer, you know why there's no answer? Because it's bullshit.
Right. Yeah. Right.
But then you're still ruminating over that. Like, well, damn, what did I, let me do some self-reflection. Is it because I answered this a certain way? And, because I remember this same person coming to me and said, oh, I just went something and it was very devastating. And I'm like, don't give me any more bad news. I think I was driving home from chemo. No, I was coming home from radiation that day. And I said, please don't give me any bad news. I don't want to hear any bad news. So what's going on? And she was like, well, I was diagnosed with severe PTSD and ADHD. And I said, oh, wow. I said, don't take that on. Yeah. I said, don't let that become who you are.
Yeah.
Take that diagnosis on. I said, because that's not who you are. No, you don't understand. I'm driving from radiation with a cancer diagnosis. But you're telling me I don't understand. And not once did anyone that I shared my diagnosis, they never heard me say I had cancer. They never heard me say, oh, I'm going through cancer. They heard me say I was diagnosed, because in my mental capacity, I made sure to watch my words. And I said that I was diagnosed with stage 2 cervical cancer. This is what I have to go through, but it doesn't belong to me. Therefore, it cannot remain, because I'm very cognizant of what I speak. And I was trying to impart that unto this person so she wouldn't take this on, but she wanted to live in that. She wanted to live in that because she kept repeating it on a trip. And, my ADHD keeps me this and my ADHD keeps me that. And, and then next thing you know, she's building a platform around that too. And that's fine. That's not my issue. But don't tell me. So that's the only thing I can think of when she said I lacked empathy. And then I'm like, even with that, I still was imparting wisdom onto you, still being empathetic. And here I am. Leaving radiation that I have to get on a daily, every single day for a year.
And I think about that conversation, Kendall, and a really healthy person would have said, tell me more about what you mean of don't live in this. Like, what do you mean by that? And then you could have given so many examples, because it would have been a loving conversation instead of her just blocking off that you are literally driving from radiation, probably feeling nauseous, exhausted, all these things that are going on within you, but you were not allowing that diagnosis to determine any outcome of your life. That's all you were trying to share with somebody. And it's so offensive to me how people receive any message anymore.
Any messaging that takes them out of victimhood.
Yes.
Any message that removes you from that fragility that you want to hold on to, from that victimhood that you want to hold on to, it becomes offensive. And to your point, Sierra, I did explain to her exactly what I meant. I didn't just say, oh, you don't want to take that. I said, listen, my advice, don't allow this diagnosis to define who you are. You're so much bigger than this. I understand it may be unnerving for you to hear this news, but I don't want you to take it on so much that it becomes who you are.
Yeah,
so there was a loving conversation, as much as I was willing to give at that time. I don't know what else I could have done outside of that, but she was offended because she wanted to be victimized. She wanted to sit in that. And again, I don't disregard anybody who's being diagnosed with any neurodivergency, but when you look at the scope of it, and again, not to measure who's whatever, but you're comparing ADHD to cancer and telling me that I don't understand when you're diagnosed with something. That was heart-wrenching for me. And then
kind of like what Jesus said, all sin is a sin. All sin is a sin. So let's not like sit here and try to say, like, I mean, we all are like, kill somebody or say fuck, know?
Right. So I think, they like to stay in the victimhood, and then when you call them out or when you don't stay there with them or coddle them, because we have to blame. Let me hold y'all hands when I say this. We are to blame. We are so to blame because we were raised differently. We were raised by boomers, and boomers were a silent generation. I know my mom, when you think about how I was disciplined, that's abuse.
All of us are,
you know what I'm saying? Because your mom wouldn't let you stay out all night long. And again, I'm not saying that.
We were terrified of our parents, and nowadays kids are not terrified enough.
They're not. You know why they're not? Because we tried to be friends with them.
Yep.
Yeah.
And what they think now is they're on the same level as adults.
Right.
That's why I don't have a problem cursing you out. Or when you go out in you hear them. When you go out in private, you hear them you hear them cursing and being disrespectful. Or you say something to them. Perfect example. We were having dinner. I had an empowerment event for moms here on Saturday, and some friends were like, "We want to take you out to celebrate." And we go out, and this girl, I don't know, she looked like a teenager, but she probably was like a Gen Z or millennial maybe. And she walks past us, but she didn't say, "Excuse me." And my friend was kind of like, "Oh, I didn't know she was behind her." And her husband kind of like backed the wife up. And then I said, "Oh, that's because we didn't hear her say, 'Excuse me.'" And she turned around, "I did say, 'Excuse me.'" And I was like, "Girl, calm down." But the way she responded, and then we ended up in the bathroom together. And I said, "Hey, when you walk by, we didn't, I said, "Baby, we didn't hear you say anything." "Well, I did say it. That's why he moved." And literally, I had to center myself because I wanted to check her.
Mm-hmm.
But it probably would have gone a whole different way. And I was like, let me stay in this amazing energy for my event. She's not ready to hear. She can't be corrected. Mm-hmm. And it just proved my point that these new generations, you can't say anything to them. And that's why moms are walking on eggshells and tiptoeing around their feelings. But I'm not tiptoeing around anybody that I gave birth to. Yeah. If you talk shit to me, I'm talking shit to you. Yeah, I'm not Michelle Obama. If you go low, I'm dragging you.
Yeah, absolutely. I am right there with you.
I'm going low, right along with you, because I feel like, and I'm not thinking that that's always the best thing to do. I just feel like you have to set that tone sometimes to be like, "Hey, you don't talk to me like that." Mm-hmm. And if you're going to talk to me like that, I'm going to get on your level, and we're both going. Will it benefit us? Probably not. However, I will walk away with my dignity and my pride, knowing that I didn't allow you to just sit here, and I stood here because I was so terrified of you maybe not talking to me anymore or me hurting your feelings, because they don't give a damn about your feelings.
Right.
No. Yeah.
It's a hard reality, but it's the truth, because the children that are coming up now, these adult kids, millennials, Gen Zs, they have no empathy.
Right.
They have no grace. Mm-hmm. Even your trauma is centered around them.
Yep, for sure.
Wow, what a way to like really close this conversation, because if you guys didn't just like stop breathing for a second and then just now let that out and just ponder on that. Because and I think that we are to blame a little bit, right? Our generation, because we did, like you said, we wanted to be friends because we were so abused.
Because we weren't allowed to be friends with our parents. So we wanted to parent differently, Sierra. We did. We tried to, but we didn't quite get the balance.
No.
Some of us just went cold turkey and there was no balance, and and we are to blame for that, right?
Yes. Yep.
But what is now happening to our grandbabies? Because, now our babies are having babies. So, where is their balance too? And you're watching and you're seeing and you're like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this was such a beautiful conversation, Kendall. Thank you so much for your true authentic self, and just for the messaging that you give and going through it yourself too, because the best people to deliver the testimonials and messages are the ones that are living it.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much
for having me. I appreciate it so much.
You bet. And where can everyone follow you and find you?
You can find me on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. Still on Facebook. I wish everybody would just move to Instagram because it'll be easier. At Mums, MUMS, True T. And you can see it. I think it's probably on the label on the screen. But you can find me on all those platforms. Podcasts are on all your streaming platforms. You can also see the video side of the podcast on my YouTube channel, which is the same thing as well, Mom's True Tea. And I also am the author of Reclaiming Your Identity.
Oh, I love it. I love the cover.
Yeah, and it's a mom's guide to empowerment, setting boundaries, and peace amid estrangement. So Go grab that.
Where's the book at? And is it on your website?
Amazon and on my website at mumstruT.com. You can purchase it if you don't want to purchase on Amazon, because a lot of people are like, I don't want to support Amazon. And I'm like, okay, girl, I got you. So yes, you can purchase it on my website or Amazon, wherever you choose to purchase it. So yeah, it's doing really well. It's gone across to Australia, Singapore, and a lot of moms are giving me feedback for saying, I feel like this is my story. Like, you were in my home. How did you know I was going through this and dealing with this? And it's a quick read with some journal pages. And then I also encourage moms to write themselves a letter.
Oh,
write themselves a letter. Write yourself a letter to yourself, to forgive yourself, to give yourself some grace, and just something for yourself.
I love that. I can't wait to get to dive into the book, because the conversation today, I'm like, you are talking, you are in my head, and I'm going, this is crazy. She's here. She's in my space. But I really appreciate you taking the time and sharing your journey with us all, and can't wait for everyone to go buy Kendall's book, follow her, download her podcast. She's amazing, as you will see, and appreciate and wish you nothing but massive happiness, health, and success.
Thank you so much, ladies. I appreciate you so much. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you,
everyone. And we will see you on the next Unapologetically Badass. Bye, all. All right, queens, that's a wrap for today's episode. But before you hit pause, let's talk about you and how we can help you slay every part of your life. If you're ready to feel fabulous and look like $1,000,000, I've got you covered with my badass queen coaching, sparkling touchstone crystal jewelry, and Bella Grace collagen, because glowing skin and a sparkly vibe, that's a power move. Check it all out at ReneeCarbonefleming.com. And my co-host Sierra, oh yeah, she's bringing the heat too. Not only is she rocking Bella Grace collagen for her glow game, but she's also the queen of chic with her fabulous clothing boutique. From boosting your wellness to leveling up your wardrobe, Sierra's got the magic to help you shine inside and out. Check her out at Linktree/SierraWhitener7. So here's the deal. Head to our websites, grab the goods that'll help you live your best life, and let's make everything about you unapologetically badass. And hey, don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, and share this episode with your fellow queens, because the more sparkle in the world, the better. Until next time, keep glowing, keep slaying, and remember, you're a badass queen who deserves it all.